How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Dad noises. Dad noises.
Right over the head and go to the John.
Welcome to Dad Noises, the podcast for dads, by dad, without a dad. I'm your host, JP. What is up, everybody? How is it going? How's everything looking? We are doing another solo show today. Shout out to Omar. He is recouping from his surgery, so hopefully everything is going good with him, and he starts feeling better soon. So we're here. We're doing it. It's just you and me again. And I'm excited and ready to talk about some of the topics for today's show because things seem to be getting a little crazy out there in the world. And it sucks because I originally wanted to start the show and I talked about how this show was supposed to be like a stress relief zone. But also life is like a roller coaster and it's impossible to not think about some of the stuff that's going on. And when you see some of the things happening in the world, and it's freaky, it's motherfucking freaky, it's scary. And these people that are in charge just do not give a fuck about me and you. And it's crazy. It's crazy that it's just so blatantly obvious that it doesn't matter, that they have an agenda, something they're going to push. Sometimes you just think, hopefully, because, they're like, usually most of them are narcissists, and narcissists don't want to die and they don't want to be involved in a war. So either they have a really good escape plan or they just really trust that, their ramping up of war isn't going to be overstepped by the Russians or China because I don't know, like they know something we don't, basically is what I'm trying to say. Something that's going to withhold those two countries from wanting to start something with us, a hot war. You think, man, maybe that's the case because, I don't think that they want to die. I don't think that but I don't know. It's so intense every day. It just seems like there's something new that's coming out that is just pointing in the direction of possible war. And I feel like this war is going to be started and or ended with nuclear weaponry. And, that I've heard a lot of talks about tactical nukes, which is basically very, specific location driven nukes, not just huge massive nukes, but small ones, which that's like a roll of the dice. What city do they want to blow up, basically? So it's so dangerous, it's so scary. And then you have these train derailments that seem to be occurring one after another, and then these factory manufacturing buildings blowing up and stuff. What the fuck is going on? Those are starting to feel deliberate, almost like they're part of some attack or something like that. I don't know. It's freaky though. That's all I know. And all signs seem to point one way. So maybe it's just that time, people. Get ready. I know of prepping plans and things, but shit, I don't have much of anything. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily prepped whatsoever. So, but I also feel like I don't know how long you would want to live in a post-nuclear weapon world, Mad Max style. I don't even know if it's worth living. Those movies are crazy. You have to live in constant anxiety. People are trying to rob you, and it turns back into medieval days. So people kill you for food and kill you and do all kinds of stuff to you. So lots of rape, I'm sure. In Mad Max scenario type of world, You don't even gotta be dropping soap, if you catch my drift. So the men out there, we gotta watch our exit onlys. You know, in post-apocalyptic world, there is no such thing as exit only. There's in and out. It's a revolving door, like when you go to like the Trump Hotel in New York, and the freaking door revolves around. That's what type of door it is. In post-apocalyptic world, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of gay madness going on. So I don't want to live in gay madness. Gay madness is not my thing. No offense, just not. I gotta exit only. So hopefully, I always say, hopefully the nuke just drops in my hopefully they pinpoint my house as like the most central area to devastation of what they want to do, and it just like literally lands on my house. Because living in a life like that just seems so worthless. Like, I hate when people are those like zombie enthusiasts, which there's nothing wrong with liking zombie movies and being fans of zombies and stuff like that. I think that's cool. I like zombies too, but the ones that are they say things like, "Oh, I want zombies to take over, or I want to be in a zombie apocalypse because yada yada yada. I'm gonna run around with a fucking sword and blah blah." Dude, well, first off, you never know which zombie you're gonna get, right? Because we have all kinds of zombies in the zombie world. We have the fast zombies. We have the fucking I Am Legend zombies. You have the slow zombies, like, you know, and some of them like are just kind of fast. I mean, that the speed of the zombie plays a pivotal point in what type of apocalypse you're going to be in. Because, you know, the slow ones, you know, obviously once you get outnumbered, it's impossible whether they're slow or fast. But I feel like you have a better chance if they're slow. But why the fuck? You know, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live in a world where I have to constantly feel like I'm going to die. You know, I guess that's just been fucking whatchamacallit. That DNA from my body no longer exists as a primal thing. Like, because I feel like some people like that. Some people feel like they have to always feel like they're gonna die to be feeling like they're living, and that's just not me. That's been mated out of me. That's been bred out of me, I guess is how you would put it. So, and living like that just seems awful. But I don't know. It's creepy. I freaking hear airplanes flying over my house, and I'm like looking like, man, you just never know. One day the airplane flying over my head is gonna be a different meaning. You know, like hearing that sound coming is gonna mean something so different. It's gonna be that could be it one day. You never know. You don't know where people trust that that's not gonna happen so much for some reason, and I don't know why. These people owe nothing to you like they say they do. These people do not care about you. These people will sell your soul for you. You don't even have a choice in the matter. They steal it from you and they sell it out from under you. These people do not give a fuck about people like you and me. And to trust that it's like now's the time to, even if you have like a Facebook page or something, now's the time to like spread the message of like, we're against these wars. These crazy wars it's just nonstop fighting and nonstop dying and nonstop death. Nothing in this world is worth fixing more than war. Because once that ends, a lot of other things end. And there's so many resources that go into war. I mean, the amount of money that has been poured into the Ukraine war from just us alone. I mean, it makes sense now that Russia sees us as a threat and as enemy, with NATO constantly pushing on their doorstep and them pushing back and them saying they're not going to stand down, and they've lifted treaties in Russia that basically say they can now be ready to have a nuclear strike be the first to nuclear strike. They're flying and over Alaska, and they're flying like right outside of our airspace in ways they never have before. It's just like, it's getting so weird. I think they flew like a bomber with like nuclear warheads for like a test, like right near Alaska. So I don't know. It would suck to be in Alaska, that's for sure. So Alaska's fucking right there, and they're always threatening Alaska. Fuck. I hate doing this to y'all, but it's serious. It's so serious. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. This is just like the truth. I try to ignore a lot of stuff, and I can keep myself pretty busy and out of the news and things. But if you go to the normal news, you're not going to hear this. You have to go to quote unquote alternative media, which is honestly what mainstream wishes they were, because a lot of people go and they find stories and they tell the truth, and people report stories from like other countries that America doesn't report and stuff. So it seems like everybody has the jump on us too. Like China's citizens and Russian citizens are more aware. I heard, remember, keep in mind, a lot of these things I say I hear from other podcasts, other news sources I watch or listen to, like very credible news sources. Like on YouTube, you can find Redacted. That's a good one that my Troy, who was just on the show, he told me about. It's called Redacted. The host, I believe he used to be at Fox News, and he got tired of their misinformation that they were pushing too. So he made his own thing with his wife and a producer and stuff, and they have a great show, and they cover stuff what I feel like very truthfully. And then there's another one called Breaking Points. If you're a fan of Joe Rogan, you've heard those hosts on. I just like it because they're not trying to give you news for one specific agenda. All of them are just trying to point you to the truth, and that's what I like about those shows, because you can make up your own mind. You don't necessarily even have to agree with their views or their politics necessarily, but at least they're giving you a credible source of information. So, and they just highlight it's insane how many news stories are out there that people just don't know about. And you can look it up, and it's pretty easy once you just bypass like Google's algorithm, or you go to a different source of media or a different search engine. You can find news stories that and it's just that people are so used to using Google, and it's installed in your phone. It's pre-installed, and it's just boom right there, and it's easy to use. So it's out there, people. All this stuff I'm telling you is things that's out there. But supposedly there's like an 80% approval rating for the war in Ukraine by Russian citizens. And a lot of Russian citizens they think they need to do this because there's so much pressure applied from NATO all around Russia. Russia feels like a cat being cornered, like an animal being cornered, basically. And now they're like, we're going to have to strike or attack or do something. So they invaded Ukraine, and supposedly after winter, they're going to boost up the offensive on Ukraine, and they're supposed to do like a second wave or something like that. So, fuck. It's crazy. It's insane. I don't know what to do. And then you have the train derailments, and obviously those balloons. I found that balloon story. Everything about that was just a distraction to distract you from the Nord Stream pipeline. So this is a fun bit of information that hopefully a lot of people haven't heard of, and hopefully if this is the first time you hear about it, go research it. Don't just listen to me, because I'm giving you really half-assed information, because I can only store so much in my head at once, and a lot of things get in and out. So, but it's called Nord Stream pipeline, and from what I remember, it's a pipeline that runs from Russia to Western Europe, and like the Germany mainly is where it goes. And this pipeline supplies a lot of natural gas that region of the world has to use, especially during wintertime, because whenever it gets cold, they need natural gas to help keep heaters running and systems like that. So the whole thing is weird because Joe Biden even talked about like getting rid of the pipeline, and they need to get rid of the pipeline. And the whole thing is basically U.S. has an interest in that pipeline being gone, because then Western Europe and Germany will rely on the U.S. for their natural resources. And keep in mind, these natural resources, because of the travel, instead of it just being a direct pipeline that makes those resources cheaper, it has to be like brought across an ocean and then supplied for Europe. And the travel for that will increase the prices. So they're like being they're going to have to be price gouged now for their natural resources. So the interest is, well, we don't want NATO countries and Germany to have to stop supplying Ukraine or helping Ukraine fight against Russia. So we need to make sure that if this pipeline's gone, they have no choice but to start receiving natural resources from us. So now they have to fight and continue to be behind the Ukrainians during this war and continue to fight against Russia, because Russia has to stop supplying the gas to Western Europe and things like that because of this war. And they don't want they don't want Western Europe and Germany to be like, we're going to just stand down, and we need the natural resources from Russia, so we have to stand down. We don't have a choice. We have to. So now that option is just taken out, and America is like, well, no, you have to come get your natural resources from us, and we're going to charge you more because you need them now. So, and you're going to keep fighting against them. If you want these natural resources, you're going to keep fighting against Russia for us, with us. So, and supposedly this explosion occurred under the ocean in a very hot, heavily guarded area. And it was a very like special ops type tactics, So
what was the impetus for this event? What was maybe the moment that you said we need to mobilize? We need to bring people to the nation's capital, and we need to really bring awareness about this.
I think it was the progression of the war and the fact that it's become increasingly clear that this is not, in fact, even a proxy war, but it is a direct war between the United States and Russia. That is now what the Ukrainian defense minister has said, that they are fighting the war on behalf of NATO. The logistics, the weapons, the targeting, the strategy, everything comes from NATO. And also you have that being said also by the Russian defense minister. You have it increasingly said in the West. You have, of course, the German foreign minister that is saying that that they were at war with Russia, and speaking on behalf of Germany, but also on behalf of all of Europe when she makes that comment, all of Western Europe. So it's that escalation, and the fact that, of course, there are now red lines that are being crossed that were initially drawn by, including the Biden administration, the most pro-war, warmongering factions of the U.S. government, that is, of course, the aggressor in this conflict. The fact that just a few months ago, they were saying to send tanks, are you crazy? That would be a third world war. And yet here we are with tanks being deployed from the United States, from many different countries across Europe, including, most absurdly and ironically, Germany, being deployed from Germany. Who thought that we would see German tanks again being deployed towards Russia to fight Russia? I think people don't understand that 27 million Russians died defeating the first Nazi regime in Europe. And the idea that Russia was simply going to tolerate the establishment of another one with a 30-nation transatlantic military alliance behind it that is shipping it tens of billions of dollars, $100 billion plus in weapons and military aid, that it was going to tolerate that they were going to tolerate the induction of Ukraine into NATO, the placement of missiles that could strike nuclear missiles, cruise missiles that could strike Russian cities, including Moscow, in just 3, 4, 5 minutes. That is absurd. People have to understand that Russia has been invaded from the West several times, and that invasion path goes through Ukraine. There is a historic generational memory in Russia of the First World War, the Second World War, what was done to them during the 90s with the absolute devastation, the fact that Russia's domestic product crashed by 50% with the Yeltsin administration that was essentially installed by the United States. That's why Putin has a 70, 80% favorability rating while fighting this war. And that's why he calls it existential. And it's not just Putin, it's all of Russia, it's the Kremlin that agrees with this. No Western country, the United States, the UK, any country in Western Europe could draft hundreds of thousands of people to fight a war without facing a revolution. And yet you see that the leadership in Russia is able to do that because they correctly have assessed, with the agreement of the Russian people, that this is an existential war being waged by the United States, the UK, and all of NATO against them, with the explicit goal of balkanizing Russia, of cutting it up into multiple different countries, and deposing their leadership. If that happened in the United States, there would be a nuclear war tomorrow.
And this isn't major news. They're talking to you about balloons, and they're shooting down balloons, and they're spending, thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on, or I think one of those missiles costs like 10 grand or something crazy like that. Maybe even more, shooting down these balloons out of the sky that are just probably weather balloons, or things like for scientific purposes and stuff. And some of them were just random balloons. I don't know. It's just weird because people are like, you always have had these balloons in the airspace. There's people in the military, there's people in the government and stuff like that are saying these things have always been in the airspace. This is not something new. And just now it's becoming a news story, and it's becoming headlines because it's like, look to the sky so you don't see what we're blowing up fucking underground over here in the ocean. Look up. It's literally like a fake, they faked you out, fucking put the moves on you, looked up, made you look up. They did a pump fake, you looked up, and they're blowing shit up underneath you. So... I can't remember who the journalist was, but he came out on what is that new news source place where journalists basically go, you subscribe to a specific journalist that you trust and you follow, and Substack. It's called Substack, and I believe he put out an expose on the Nord Stream pipeline. He's like a super accredited, he's won prizes like Pulitzer Prize for his journalism and stuff like that. He's been around for years and years. He uncovered a lot through Vietnam and stuff like that. And that guy is the one that covered that story of the Nord Stream pipeline and saying, the balloon thing was just a distraction and this is what's really going on. So, because if you realize, if America did that, it seems like they did, and they're not talking about it, they're acting like it didn't even happen. If America did that, that's an act of terror. That's a terroristic act on an ally. You're cutting off the natural resources for a whole region and a country of Germany and their allies. That's... and there was no voting on it. Was just taken out. It was just done on the request of the administration, supposedly. So, on an ally. Man, this is the type of stuff, that right there, why would Russia not feel like that's an act of war? Or why would Russia not feel like the Ukraine becoming a part of NATO feel like an act of war? Because NATO pushes right there in an area with a lot of natural resources, a lot of natural gas. And if they become NATO, they become Western controlled. Western control controls that region of resources. And look, I'm not like some Putin, some Russian apologist. Obviously entering the Ukraine war is crazy and not the way to go about it either. Not what I advocate whatsoever. And I believe in sovereignty for a nation, and that Ukraine is able to remain what they believe they want to be. But there's a lot of things that also show a big part of that region over there voted, and a huge percentage said that they were Russian. And that was basically split up after World War II. That area was split up because that was the area that Germany had overtaken. So that's why it became all those separate countries. It's like Georgia, Belarus, I think, Ukraine. There's just a few countries all right there that are used to be like Russia, and they don't want a Western controlled country able to just put nukes right there on their border, right there on their doorstep. It would be like Russia putting nukes on the Mexican border, and them cutting a deal with Mexico and Russia becoming partners, and Mexico allowing Russia to put nuclear weaponry right there on our border. I mean, they could blow up Texas in a second. Boom. It's just things like that I don't understand like what the whole Russia's so in the wrong. America does the wrong things too, and both of them do. All these players, they're all fucking crazy. It's all just selfish acts for money and power, and it's just a game to them. Our lives, our livelihood, the way we live, our way of life. I wish our way of life was something that every country in the world could experience, because it was something like the poorest people in our country are still more wealthy than like the poorest people in third world countries by like a huge percentage. That's how those people in those third world countries and nations are so poor to a point you can't even wrap your mind. You can't understand how poor they are. And I wish that the way of life of the American way of life was the way of life for the world. And I wish that these freaking wars, this is such a kumbaya, but man, I just feel like it's so easy. If these people that get elected into power are the craziest fucking people, because you have to be crazy to want all that type of power. And there has to be a different way. There has to be a way to pick people that that necessarily don't even want the job, but feel like they kind of have to do it because that's the only safe option. But I mean, those people don't want to do it. I wouldn't want to do it. I mean, not like I would fucking know how to do anything, but I would at least approach the job as honest as possible and try to do what's right for people and make sure people don't die and, everything like that. But it's almost like the system, you're just bound to become corrupted. You're just bound to take money from somebody and some special interest group that tells you what to say and what to vote for, and it's just bound to happen. Before you know it, you're backing a vaccine that you don't even know the effectiveness rate of it, if it does anything, if it's going to increase heart attacks in 25 to 44-year-old males, myocarditis, which is, gonna cause tears to their hearts, things like that. You don't even know. You're just backing it because you were paid so much money to go do a speech for some company or some stupid bullshit, millions of dollars, and you just sell out. And it just, those people, some people are just, I mean, I like to think that there are people in the system that are for us and try, but I don't think so. That's why I'm wearing the alien shirt today. I got the green lights, and I feel like I'd rather just be an alien right now and get me off this fucking planet. I'll go be an alien somewhere, fly me to fucking Mars, and just let me live there by myself with my family. Get me out of this fucking place. What the fuck? No choice, no. And it seems like weird shit keeps. I saw a video of fucking birds falling out of the sky. What the fuck? Birds falling out of the sky. And I'm talking, imagine like a pile of birds. You know, imagine a pissed off wife just found her husband was cheating, and she flung clothes out of this second floor apartment building, and she's cussing at him, and probably Latina, and she's hurling insults and with a Latin flair, and just throwing all his clothes out of the fucking window. That's how these birds came falling down out of the sky, just like fucking clothes coming out of a second story window from a pissed off Latin wife. You know, that's what is going on in this world today. Birds falling out of the sky. Man, fucking a giant ball got washed up on the shore of Japan or something, some metallic. I don't know. I didn't see anything about it. I just saw a couple pictures. I didn't like look into it like anything crazy. There was one thing I saw too that was kind of weird, was there was a spiral in the night sky. You just see like this spiral form. Let me go ahead and play it for y'all. So sorry for the people that were just listening to the show there. Basically, that's just a quick video of it looks like a spiral in out in space, and it's being filmed by this telescope, and you see, you know, all these stars and all these airplanes flying by and stuff. But back there in the background, you see this spiral, and it just freaking mysterious spiral appears over the sky somehow, and it like a spiral happens, and then it like dissipates and it disappears into the sky. It's really weird. Let me play it with no audio, and I'll try to give my best visual description of this. Okay, so on the video you see this huge white orb, like kind of going from almost center. Whoa, I didn't notice that the first time. This white orb, it starts getting bigger, and then it shoots off it looks like a wave, like a fucking sound wave or something, like an explosive, like a wave from an explosion out from in front of it. And then the orb gets bigger, and it keeps moving from the right to the left, and then it gets really bright and starts becoming a spiral that's going, clockwise. And you see all the energy disperse around it, whatever this is, and then the orb gets dimmer, and it almost looks like there's like headlights in front of it too. It's really strange. The orb gets dimmer, and then it just eventually kind of disappears into space. What is that? That is so creepy. It's so strange. It's super creepy. What is that? Is that a spacecraft? Is that a black hole that just exploded like really far out? I don't know. Why would we be seeing it as a white? Why is it emitting light if it's a black hole? So that doesn't make any sense. What is that? Is it a star? That's weird. It's creepy. Makes me feel creepy. Makes me feel creeped out for some reason. I don't know what's scarier. The thought of like the Mad Max world. I mean, I know I explained the whole gay madness thing, so that was kind of scary. But seriously, what's creepier? Like living in a world like that, living in a world where aliens come down and you have to fight. Like, what's worse? Because whatever that technology was that created that spiral, I do not want to mess with that. that's some highly advanced shit right there. So I'm not sure what is going on, folks. I wish I had an answer for you, and I don't have any answers. Let's get into some other stuff that I saw that I thought was kind of interesting. I went to Walmart the other day, and I don't know what happened to Walmart. Walmart's getting a little edgy. They're doing something. They're getting a little dirty. Walmart's in the little dirty game now because they now sell sex toys at Walmart. It was we walked in and we went down the aisle where the like the vitamins and like the health, it was in front of their pharmacy where there's like vitamins and there's medicines and things like that. And in one of the aisles where they usually have like condoms and so I guess they sell lube there too. They always kind of sell condom and lube, but now they have dildos, vibrators. They even had butt plugs. And I did not know Walmart sold sex toys. Since when? And they have the demographic for it because we've seen all the people of Walmart pictures. And we know those people get freaky. You can tell because they're freaky. And so freaky people go to Walmart, obviously, because maybe there was like a demand for it. A lot of people wrote to Walmart, why aren't there sex toys? It's such a weird thing to sell. What's the return policy for a sex toy? Because if you go to a sex shop, if you buy a sex toy, you can't return it because if you used it, you can't resell it. So, I mean, maybe there's a market out there for it. I'm sure you can find somebody out there online that would specifically buy a used sex toy. But in regards to the general public, there's not much of a market for that. So obviously, what do? You can't, and it's not like you have the receipt for it and you can just return it. So it's just weird. I found that so strange. So strange. Since when? I was like baffled that I was looking at sex toys in Walmart. And especially because there's like kids, like my daughter was with me right there. I don't take my daughter into sex shops, obviously. So just for it to be like thrown right there in her face, in my face. And if she asks a question, I have to answer. I try to figure out a way to explain the fucking butt plug to her. I'm just going to Walmart on a fucking Sunday. It's just minding my own fucking business and trying to go get some vitamins or whatever. And I walk down the aisle thinking it's going good. I'm having a great conversation with my kid. She's being good. We're having a good time. And then all of a sudden she sees the fucking butt plug on the shelf and I have to explain to her or try to figure out a lie, obviously, not explain, but figure out a lie to tell her of what that does if she asks me. Because, kids just, it never fails. It never fails. If you have a kid, dads and moms out there, it never fails. The kid will find the weird thing, the thing that they're not supposed to highlight, the thing that's not supposed to stand out to them, and they will find that, and they will ask, that's what they will ask you a question about. She won't ask you what this Lotrimin Ultra is over here on the end of the aisle. What's this foot cream, this Bond foot cream, Bond powder for your feet, for athletes' foot. I want to explain, sometimes people got some stanky ass feet and I got a fucking nasty toe right now. People have shit like that and we have to put some cream on it. I want to explain that. I don't want to explain some people got nasty ass buttholes that need to be gaped in order to have sexual pleasure. I mean, how do you explain that? Or I don't want to have to make stuff up. What is that? It's for when adults stop, how when sometimes adults drink wine. Yeah. Well, we put that in there afterwards so that way it keeps it fresh. I don't want to have to tell her a butt plug is for wine, a recorker for a wine bottle. I don't know what I even say on the spot. You see, obviously, I don't have a good idea to say it. It's used to plug holes in a boat. That's what I would have to tell her. Sometimes when you're like going kayaking, right? Kayakist, yeah. And if there's a hole in your boat, you just get one of these little plugs here and you put it in the hole and it keeps the water out. I can't That's too much pressure. And then kids will continue, what is it? What is it? And you're trying to think of a line. You can't think because they're constantly asking you what it is. And your brain's trying to make up something. You see how long it took me to think of the boat one? The boat one's not a bad response. It's pretty basic, pretty simple, but it took me a while. And you're at the store and like somebody else hears you and they hear your kid asking them what the butt plug is, and the person's like interested in hearing how you respond to this because it's just like kind of entertaining to see a situation like that go down. Walmart, what are you doing to us? This is a place for the family. Remember that little smiley face ball that used to fucking hop around on commercials and shit? It was happy. It wasn't a fucking anal bead fucking popping around the commercial on the aisle changing the prices. It wasn't a dirty anal bead. An anal bead with like a little brown streak on it fucking hopping around and price changing stuff. Remember those commercials with the smiley face? What happened to that, Walmart? Bring that back. Now you're fucking putting butt plugs on the aisle. And I understand I'm cursing a lot because I'm frustrated. I'm getting a little older. I'm a little more conservative. Not basically, not in my politics necessarily, but in just how I am. It's crazy. It's insanity. Gotta stop it. I don't want anal beads fucking hopping around the store. I don't care. It's almost like I'll pay the price. Don't use the anal bead to price change the price marker or whatever, the price tag. Don't use an anal bead. I'll just pay the normal price. Whatever. No, bring the smiley face back. I want that motherfucker changing the price. He was sweet. He was kind. He seemed very gentle. Very nice smiley face. I don't know if you remember those commercials. If you don't get this reference at all. So that's what's going on. Walmart's selling sex toys now. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then another funny thing I saw at Walmart that day was, they sell, I liked whoever created this was a marketing genius. So it was the Quate Walmart brand adult diapers. And it was called Assurance. Right? Well, Assurance, the beginning part of that word is ass. So it's almost like they were in the board meeting and they were thinking, what could we call our lines of adult diapers? And some dude's just like, they don't give a fuck. They're just like sitting there with their feet up on the desk and he's just like chewing gum. He's just scrolling on his phone. He's like, ass insurance. That's literally what these diapers are. It's ass insurance. And Assurance was born. It was such a genius name for adult diapers, ass insurance. So it's better than using, I remember on Robin, I don't know if you remember on MTV, they used to have the show called Robin Big, and he made the man pawn famous, which was basically like a rolled up toilet paper in your butt crack. So in case you poop yourself or shart, the toilet paper catches like a man pawn. Well, that's basically ass insurance. And that's where this person seems like they came up with the idea. So very genius. I loved it. I almost bought a pack just to have, because you never know. Because just because you're not an old person and a senior citizen doesn't mean that you don't want to eat a tamale with some salsa, and then later you have to reap what you sow, right? And you don't want to shit yourself. You get some ass insurance, adult diapers, some Assurance diapers, and you're good to go. I don't see a problem with it. If somebody was shitting themselves, honestly, if somebody was having like a bad day, everybody's just had a bad day like that. Everybody has been through it. So if you're just having one of those days where you're just shitting yourself constantly, you can't help it. If you want to wear an adult diaper, you're not going to get no judgment from me, bruh. I mean, I don't want to stain or ruin my underwear either. Wear a diaper. Adult diapers should be more accepted. I don't see why it's such a taboo thing. So what? I shit myself. It was an accident. I was wearing a diaper, luckily. The only thing is they need to figure out how to make them less padded, because you don't want to be an adult walking around with diaper ass, or like or you know, or hopefully you're somewhere you could change it really fast because you don't want to be an adult. You know, obviously, if you shit yourself, you're gonna, no matter where you're at, it's gonna stink. So I guess having it in a diaper is a little better. I wonder if they have like a smell killer inside of them or something that helps kill that odor. I don't know. Maybe I'll start wearing adult diapers. Once I hit 30, start wearing them, you know. It seems like I have diarrhea more often nowadays anyways. I don't necessarily have it to like an uncontrollable point though. So I don't know. Who knows? So I do fasting. I do intermittent fasting. So maybe that has something to do with my poops. But as of right now, I don't think I need them. But if the day comes that I do need them, no shame in my game. I would just wear my underwear over them and you can't even tell. That's the secret. So I'll just do that. But Walmart is just been off the chain lately. I don't know what's going on in Walmart. So I heard, or let's see. I can't, well, no, not I can't. I know. I don't understand why the UFC and Dana White and I don't understand why ESPN, they're pouring so much advertising and money into this power slap league. This slap league is crazy. It's insane. It looks brutal. It looks like a form of torture. It's great. It's fighting is bad too, right? Because fighting, you're getting punched and kicked in the fucking head. It's 10 times worse than power slap. Getting punched in the head or kicked in the head with a fucking leg kick from a professional person that knows how to kick properly. You know, they time it where you're ducking at the same time. You're fucking slipping a jab. And then as you're going down, boom, you get popped in the head with a fucking kick. That happens all the time in UFC, okay? But to just sit there and it's like, the person just has no ability to defend themselves, because that's a part of fighting too. There's people that specialize in the ability to just move, and like Floyd Mayweather, he just moves, slips punches, he slides. Tyson Fury is a big dude. He avoids those huge hits because he's able to move so well. People like that, even in MMA, you have people, a lot of fighters that are known for their movement. What's his name? Dominic. I can't remember his last name, but Dominic Cruz, he's known for his strange, odd movement. And he moves and he ducks shots, and that's a part of fighting. The defense is a part of fighting. It's not just an offensive sport. Fighting is not like NFL. It's not like NBA where, people want to see just offense, and it's high entertaining if it's only offense. No, there's an art, there's a beauty to defense in fighting. And this power slap league is basically the offense only, as brutal as it can get, form of UFC. That's basically what this is. I hear those guys only make like $2,000 or something like that. Like $2,000 to show up, and $2,000 if they win. You're only winning like $4,000 for getting slapped the fuck out of. Like, it's crazy if you win too, because you're taking slaps. I've seen like videos of like the dude's ears bleeding. I mean, these guys, just because it's not a fist, it's like not damaging like the outer part of your face. It's just damaging your brain. It's just only literally hurting your brain. It's damaging your internal fucking head, skull and shit. Whatever. I can't even fucking speak. I feel like I've been in the power slap league, and I haven't. And these guys are going out there for not very much money, and they're just getting fucking decimated. I mean, these guys are huge, and they're fucking like using I saw a dude where he like bends down and waves his arm and gets it ready. He like charges it up and boom, and smacks the motherfucker. I found a top 10 clip here, so let's watch it together. And yeah, let's see. You'll see what I'm talking about if you haven't seen it yet.
Got on me. Oh! Going on one, and he's down. Oh my God! Vicious strike right there. Oh my God! Whoa!
You know what the irony is? And I'm gonna fucking say it. The art to this sport, the only art, like, so quote unquote, because usually, like, there's an art to basketball, to shooting, you know, while somebody's jumping in your face and you know, keeping that form and that muscle memory. There's almost an art to it, just like fighting. There's an art to moving. There's an art to throwing, to striking, to jiu-jitsu, to grappling, to wrestling. There's an art to it. You know, there's an art to football, to learning how to catch a ball while you're running and you know, juking defenders and tackling people. There's an art to all of that. There's a technique. You know, I guess technically there probably is some sort of technique to take to slap the fucking shit out of anybody. But I feel like if somebody stood in front of me and I had the opportunity to give a good fucking slap, you know, with no fighting experience or nothing, out of 3 to 5 slaps, I have to at least knock the dude out. Okay? Like, because there's really nothing to that. You just fucking wind your body up as hard as you can and smack the shit out of somebody, and you just hit him in the chin and lights out, you know? And what's more of an art to whatever this is, because I'm not going to call it a sport, is the referees catching fucking heads from bouncing off the fucking ground. That's more of an art to this sport than the guys slapping each other. The art is the refs saving these guys from worse damage to their brain. The last one, the number one, I'll try to put on the screen here if I remember to do in post. But the number one where the referee caught the dude's head like it was a football. He was catching a punt off the ground, a botched punt. He caught the dude's head. He cradled it. That's the art to this sport. Man, I don't understand why this is a thing. I mean, I guess if you're into it, you're into it. I'm not gonna. If you like it, whatever. I feel like it looks crazy. Maybe it looks worse than it is. Maybe I'm just being a bitch. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I don't have any interest in watching it. It seems more like a cool clip type sport where it's good for quick clips and just showing you real quick little highlights or knockout slaps or whatever. And you know, that's just the one slap that's knocking people out. There's slaps that are happening in these matches over and over where some dudes don't get knocked out easily, and they're just taking hits and shots, powerful shots over and over and over again. You're just seeing the one that happened to knock them out. Just seems dangerous for what's going on, for the payoff. But then there's a league that I found that I could get behind. And in Romania, I guess there's a power butt slapping league where these freaking hot chicks just slap each other's butts as hard as they can. And, you know, there is an art to that, right? Those chicks, you know how I see the art in it? Let me explain. The art is those chicks got to work really hard to get nice booties to endure that slaps. And there's an art to keeping your body in top physical shape for slaps, because when you're getting slapped in the face, you can't do anything to your jaw or anything to make it stronger. Maybe you could do steroids. Steroids will help your jaw. It makes your face a little bit bigger and stuff, but you're still going to get knocked out if your brain rattles. But if you have a nice firm toned booty that you've been working on and you put blood, sweat, and tears into it, it makes sense that you can withstand a powerful slap. But let's check this one out. And of course, leave it to Romania, right? That's where Andrew Tate is. It's probably Andrew Tate chicks. Dude, it's red. Oh. Check on the right. That was a weak one. I feel like this would sell out so much more too. See, that seems that their butts are like crazy red, but at least they're not getting brain damage. They're just getting ass damage, which, you know, makes their butts swell. And they probably like it better because their butts look bigger. I bet you Dana White was like, he found that power slap league, or he found like a slapping league, and he was like, guys, he was, you know, it seems like that's a cocaine move. I'm not saying Dana White does cocaine. I'm just saying it seems like a cocaine move to just see like a league like that and be like, I got to invest in it, guys. That's my fucking golden goose right there. all the money, we're dumping money into that. We're doing this, blah, blah, blah. And then like a couple of days later, somebody's like, Dana, did you see this league? And then they show him that video of the Romanian chicks. And he's like, motherfucker. You know, he probably would have made so much more money doing a butt slapping league than a power slapping. I guarantee it. That's the money right there. Dana, if you listen to me, this message reaches Dana. You got to invest in the power butt slapping league. And then what they should do is go back. You can supply anal plugs from Walmart, and the chicks have to wear anal plugs. And whenever the anal plug falls out, that's how you know the person loses. There you go. I just formed it. I formed that's the real sport right there. Holding in an anal plug when you're getting smacked on your ass, that's an art. That's more art than the power slap league. And if you're listening to me right now, and you know, obviously this is a joke, but if you're listening to me, tell me you wouldn't rather see that. Why would you not? It makes sense. It's pay-per-view, so adults have to pay for it, so it can be done. That's the money maker right there. Okay. And if that league comes out and Walmart sponsors it with their new anal plugs, their new anal plug line, Equate Walmart ass insurance anal plugs, they sponsor that. I want a cut. I came up with it, Walmart. Son of a bitch. Give me my cut. Okay. That's the sport. I don't get it. If you watch the power slap, and it's crazy, I go on social media and all I see is everybody saying, this is so stupid. Why do you do this? I don't understand, blah, 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 blah. Everybody hates it. And then they just keep doing it and doing it. So it gets views. It's almost like a car wreck. Like you drive past a car wreck and you can't help it. You have to look. It's hard not to look. As in human nature, you want to look. That's literally what power slap is. So you're making your money off of people not wanting to see something. I honestly don't know one person that goes and watches like a full event. I've never seen one, and I don't get any joy out of seeing that. It's just weird. It's not fun. It's now the butt slapping league. Do it. I'm all for that. I'd buy front row tickets to that one. So, anyways, sorry about the beginning of this show. It was very melancholy. But I just feel like it's super important to get that message out there because we have to show these motherfuckers we don't want war. There was like this huge anti-war protest and stuff that was going down. Yeah. I'll play there's a video that I watched too that was really interesting, and it showed the perspective of why we need to be anti-war and what's going on. So I need to make sure I put that in on the video. But if you're listening, thank you so much. Make sure you share the show, and make sure you like and subscribe. If you haven't seen, we have a video version of the show, so make sure you go on YouTube, check it out. Dad Noises Podcast. You can find me on Instagram. You should be able to just search like Dad Noises Podcast or JP Doyle, and you'll find it. And just go follow whatever you want. It's kind of like a mix of like a personal / show Instagram, so it's private. But if I check, I'll add you. Just say I'm here from the podcast, then I know. So that makes me feel good because I know people are listening. Thanks for listening. Share. Love you guys. Until next time. See you.